Welcome to rSlash Am I the Devil, where OP intentionally kills his daughter's emotionally support animal to teach her a lesson. Our next Reddit post is from rSlash Am I the Butthole, and the title is, Am I the butthole for euthanizing my daughter's emotional support animal for her own sake? Yo, what? Euthanizing my daughter's emotional support animal? Alright, unless the dog literally got rabies and had to be put down Old Yeller style, there's no justification for this, but we'll see. My daughter recently turned 20. She's been dealing with major depressive disorder, social anxiety, anorexia, body dysmorphic disorder, and 2 autoimmune diseases since she was around 12. I am very involved in her treatment and obviously want her to get better, so when her therapist recommended getting her a dog to register as an emotional support animal, we got her one for her 16th birthday. The dog's name is Juniper. I generally dislike animals, but since it was for my daughter's sake, I caved. Juniper and my daughter grew close, and I've seen a noticeable difference in her since we got the dog, especially in her sense of independence and self-esteem. 4 years later, my daughter is now a part-time tutor, volunteers with the elderly, and attends school full-time with excellent grades. I am proud of how far she's come, and though I realize that she has a ways to go, Juniper has helped her, and I credit the dog for that immensely. Here's the problem. While my daughter was at school, Juniper got out of the house and got hit by a car since we live right in front of a busy street. My wife and I rushed her into the vet, and were told that Juniper would need surgery, which would cost somewhere in the ballpark of $2,000. I make a good salary, but I just can't justify spending that much on a dog, especially when it might not even work, and Juniper would probably be crippled. Plus, she was pushing 5 years old, and her breed usually only lives for 9 to 10 years. Due to all these reasons, I decided the humane and logical decision would be to euthanize Juniper. At this point, I called my daughter to let her know the situation and the solution I'd chosen, and she freaked out on me. She tried telling me that she had $700 in savings and would quickly find a way to pay me back the rest, which I declined because A, it's not just about the money, and B, I don't want to risk ruining her mental health by her getting a job, especially since she's likely to have to quit one of her volunteer jobs, which has helped her so much. I explained this to her, but she wasn't hearing reason, so I put my foot down and said my decision was final. Because the dog was technically mine since I paid for it, then I hung up. We put Juniper down, surrounding her with love and gratitude. Yo, is this post real? When we got home, my daughter had just pulled up and was hysterical. I told her she was too old to be acting like this, and one part of becoming a competent, independent adult was accepting what life throws at you. Now she isn't speaking to me. I'm beginning to think that I should have at least told her where we were so that she could say goodbye. On the other hand, Juniper already served her purpose in helping my daughter, and she's only had the dog for 4 years, so I don't understand the huge overreaction. Yo, what the f*** am I reading? Am I the butthole? Yo, guys, I gotta ask, is OP a psychopath? I don't know the term. What's the one when you don't have empathy and you don't understand how people have feelings? Is it sociopath? Psychopath? OP, do you have emotions? Do you have a heart? Are you okay, dude? Yo, I'd also like to point out, there's a line here that's pretty subtle, but I'm gonna reread it just so you catch it. Here's the problem. While my daughter was at school, Juniper got out of the house and got hit by a car since we live right next to a busy street. Okay, question for you. How did the dog get out of the house? Because if the daughter was at school, it probably wasn't the daughter's fault. What it sounds like is that it was OP's fault or his wife's fault, that they left the door open or they let the dog off the leash and the dog ran off and got hit. So, I'm guessing here, I don't really know for sure, but it sounds like OP is the reason why the dog got hit, and then OP's like, yo, $2,000 for a dog. What am I, made of money? I kind of am since I have a really good salary, but $2,000 for a dog? Even though it's literally saving my daughter's life? Screw that, man. I feel like I'm starting to get a sense for why OP's daughter needs therapy. Probably because she grew up with OP as a dad. OP also clarifies in an edit that his wife is 100% on his side, so it sounds like the wife might be just as bad. It's literally sickening to read this post. OP is treating a living creature, a member of the family, his daughter's best friend, effectively, like it's some disposable tool. Also, OP posted a bunch of updates, which I'm not going to read because it's all just him defending himself. Oh, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm not a sociopath, everything's fine. He says that he talked to his daughter and that he reinforced his stance and explained why he did everything and she forgave him, which I'm going to guess isn't really her forgiving him. It's probably just that she's so emotionally and mentally shattered right now that she's relying on any kind of support she can get. And if the options are use this terrible dad and terrible mom as her emotional support, or cut them out of her life and strike off on her own without any support, it sounds like she's choosing the first one, which I can't really blame her for. Oh man, that was a depressing read. Our next Reddit post is from rSlash True Off My Chest. I took my family on a walk yesterday on a trail. My son was holding my baby daughter and he wanted to climb up a rock. My wife told him to give the baby to her if he wants to climb. He said that he won't climb the rock, he just wants to show the baby the rock. My wife and I sat down, and I was answering a text message when my wife starts to panic because our son didn't listen. I took my son by the arm and asked him why he didn't listen to his mother, and he said, "It's not a big deal, I won't drop her." So I pulled his arm a bit hard while I was talking to him. On the walk back, my son was holding his mom's hand saying, "Mommy, my arm hurts." I don't get physical with my son just because he makes a mistake. I would typically give him a natural consequence according to his behavior. But this time, I needed to get his attention and let him know that I am not playing around with him. My wife is soft with our son. I don't mind that. I agree that he probably needed some nurturing after I was stern with him. But I grabbed his arm. I didn't beat him. She made his favorite meal for dinner, which is overkill if you ask me, but I didn't try to stop her. He learned his lesson. I learned just how upset my wife was later that night when we were in bed. We had intercourse, and when we were finished, she rolled away from me. She's usually all over me, so I knew that something was wrong. I got her to talk to me, and she told me that I bruised her baby's arm, and started to cry. I don't want to bruise my kid, and I don't want to make my wife cry. I tried to explain myself. I want our kids to be safe. He disrespected me, I got pissed, and I can agree that I was too forceful if I bruised him. I don't think that I was exactly wrong, barring the bruises, but I felt ashamed after thinking about her reaction all day. The next day, I got my wife flowers and my son a PlayStation gift card. My son is himself, but my wife still seems off. I'm not sure how I go about mending this with her. Yo, buddy. Man. Okay, I'm going to be a weak, pathetic, soft dad here for a second and admit that I got a little bit emotional reading this story. I felt that catch in the back of your throat when, you're not quite getting ready to cry, but, it's pre-crying energy and it hits the back of your throat and you can sort of feel the pressure in your eyes. Because I was imagining myself in OP's shoes. And I'm getting choked up talking about this now, the commentary. Okay, I was imagining how I would feel if I bruised my daughter's arm. Man, okay, this is actually making me start to cry a little bit. That feeling, just reading this story, it rips me up badly. Because my girl is 3, and if I grabbed her so hard that I hurt her arm and bruised her, it hurts my heart. It really hurts my heart. And so just reading this story hits me as a parent, and I don't like it. It makes me really, really uncomfortable. OP, the fact that you did it, you literally did it. You grabbed your son so badly that you physically hurt him, and now you're online defending your actions, not apologizing to your son, not recognizing what you did wrong, not really saying that you want to be a better person. You just want your wife to like you again. You don't even understand what you did wrong, dude. You don't even understand what you did wrong. It's pretty disgusting. Man, it's crazy how OP said, on the walk back, my son is holding his mom's hand and he says, "Mommy, my arm hurts." And then his next sentence is, "I don't get physical with my son just because he made a mistake." You literally, dude, literally, you literally just did that. That's like punching someone and say, "I don't punch people." Well, you did punch someone. When I started the story, since the title was "My wife is very upset because I bruised our son's arm," my assumption going into this is that the kid climbed up the rock and he grabbed the son on the way down and the grabbing process bruised the arm. I was thinking, okay, that makes sense. But he's just physically abusive. Just physically abusive. You know how many times I've physically injured my wife or my daughter during the 3 years that my daughter's been alive and the I don't even know, 13, 14 years I've been with my wife? 0! Big fat 0 times, you douchebag. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit heated about this, guys. It's kind of a soft spot for me. I'm one of those soft, mushy, cuddly dads, I guess. And so I guess it's kind of showing on this story. This is my advice to all the aspiring dads out there. It's our job to be, the disciplinarian, typically the tough one, the stern person. Just remember, when you're giving tough love, love is part of the tough love. You can't be all tough because that's just tough. The love is the more important part of the tough love equation. Ah, geez. Our next Reddit post comes from rSlash. I'm a 30-year-old guy, and I'm married to my high school sweetheart, Linda, who's 30, and we have 2 beautiful children together. I'm really happy with my life, but recently, my wife has uncovered something that I agree was bad at the time, but I don't see it as something unforgivable because of the good that came out of it. Back in high school, it was always Linda's dream to go to college and study abroad in Europe. So much so that she got a part-time job to pay for extra tutoring and became fluent in French. Well, I wouldn't mind a trip to Europe for a couple of days, but I didn't like the idea of just living there, even if it was temporary, and I told that to Linda. Without hesitation, she told me that it was fine if I didn't want to go, but she would be going regardless, and we could either do long distance or break up if I still wanted to continue a relationship with her. That really hurt me, and I felt as if she didn't care about me or our relationship if she could just quickly and easily say something like that to me after I expressed my concerns. My friend started making jokes about how Linda was going to go overseas to sleep around, and it got to me. We ended up breaking up, and it sucked because while I was miserable, Linda was beaming with excitement over her future, as if she never cared about our relationship at all. Initially, Linda planned on applying to schools only in England or France, but her parents convinced her to apply to schools in-state as a backup, and that was one that she ended up attending. Linda was devastated that she didn't get into any of her European schools, and when she tried to do a study abroad program, she ended up not getting the scholarships or grants, and she couldn't go. Linda felt completely defeated, but during that time, we reconnected and eventually got married. For our honeymoon, Linda wanted to go to Paris, but after her parents, my parents, and I explained the benefits of putting the money towards a house, she relented. I thought that Europe was always a sore subject, but I thought that Linda was still just as happy as I was. After the recent birth of our twins, Linda's mother finally admitted to stealing Linda's acceptance letters to the European schools and giving her fake rejection letters, as well as lying about not having the money to finance her trips abroad. Linda exploded at her mom and immediately went no contact with both of her parents. At first, I was just as shocked as she was, but after 3 months, I felt that it was time to finally start rebuilding some bridges. When I talked to Linda about this, she was offended that I would suggest such a thing and said that her parents were dead to her and they would never be allowed to see our kids. I told Linda that while I understood her pain, she also needed to see the good that came from this, as we may have never gotten back together and our children wouldn't exist. Linda then snapped at me, and she's been giving me the cold shoulder ever since. I'm just trying to get her to look on the bright side of things. Am I the butthole? Alright, OP is super fixated on the silver lining of this story, which is because of this tragedy, they reconnected and found love and have babies. And that's fine. It's okay to really appreciate that, hey, there's a bright side, right? We found each other, we're in love, we got a family. But the silver lining is still a silver lining around a storm cloud. The storm cloud is still the core problem. OP is just completely ignoring it and saying that just because it benefits me, that means it's not that big of a deal. I feel sorry for Linda. She has a toxic mother and an unsupportive husband. Imagine having your family, the people you trust more than anyone, absolutely intentionally crush your dreams to dust and lie to you for a decade. And then your spouse is like, isn't that great? Aren't you glad? Aren't you happy they did that to you? Man, that's gotta sting. Our next Reddit post is from r/TrueOffMyChest. I've been taking testosterone. I'm 29. I don't need to take it, but I do it for enhanced results in the gym. I've always had a lot of intercourse with my wife, but my stamina and libido is crazy right now. I can't control myself. I messed up last night and hurt her. She told me to be gentle because she's sore from the morning. I started out slow, but my desires took over. I flipped her on her stomach and I was holding her down. She kept reaching her hand back trying to touch me and was pleading. I'll be honest, her being so feminine just turned me on more. My mind was focused on finishing, so I didn't stop to check on her. After, she put on her robe and laid back down crying. Of course I say, "Baby, what is it?" She says, "It's okay, my body just hurts." I told her I was sorry for being too rough and she knows that I love her. She tugged at my heart. She's so cute. I hate seeing her cry. She's great, beautiful, sweet, a good mom, always cooking for me. So now I'm at work feeling a little crummy. My buddy advised me to get her something nice. I think I'll get her flowers and I might take her out once it's Friday even though I had other plans. I know my excuse is douchey, but all I can say is I want to make it up to her. You did something so bad that I literally can't say the word for it on YouTube because it'll get the entire video demonetized. And when she begged you to stop, that just made you even more motivated, even more turned on, and you feel a little crummy about it. Aw, poor OP feels a little crummy. Wants to post anonymously online to get it off his chest that he feels a little crummy. Never mind how the wife feels. But hey, look on the bright side. At least you got big muscles, right? At least all that testosterone is helping you get bulked, get f***ing yoked at the gym, my dude, right? All worth it in the end. That was rSlash and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.